Welcome to another episode of Happy Hour. I'm here, long distance, with Justin Cohn. Hey, Justin.
Hello, Caitlin. Yeah. Ding, ding.
Oh, yeah. Gotta get it closer. Sweet. Justin has a very varied background, but is currently, well, not currently, he's been running Motionographer for about 10 years now, and also is one of the founders for F5, which is a motion graphics festival or conference of sorts. Tell me, how did you get interested in motion graphics?
That goes back to about 2002 or 3. I was working in my first job out of college at the University of Texas at Austin, in a really interesting group where we had like lots of money, lots of technology, and our job was to use that technology to improve the educational experience of students and professors. And so I spent a lot of time building things online. Yeah. And then I spent a lot of time looking at stuff online. And around that time, in 2002, 2003, people were starting to post videos online, but they were tiny, you know, like little like 320 by 240 postage stamp videos. Yeah. And through a message board called mograph.net, which I think is still around, I started to learn about some studios that were putting their work online. And I saw some of this stuff from like MK12, based in Kansas City, Lobo in Brazil. A little bit later, saw some stuff from like Eyeball and Psyop, and I was blown away by it, especially MK12. I remember specifically seeing an in-house short they did called Ultra Love Ninja. Yeah. Man, what is this? Like, how are they doing this? And you know, how, can I do this? And that was the beginning of a long love affair with motion design and animation and all the kind of attendant disciplines that are clustered around that. Yeah. And I built a blog to kind of keep track of stuff, and that was called Tween. And later found the courage to just leave my job and go to grad school at SCAD and pursue motion design. I'm a nerd, I have to go to school for stuff. So, and then later, fast forward past that, and I ended up working at Psyop, which is one of the companies that I worshipped back then. You might hear my son in the background, by the way. He's in the other room. Hi. So yeah, so I mean, I basically kind of snuck in through the side door of motion design. I didn't like go right at it like most people do. Yeah. So I think I got in around the time that it was being revolution. I didn't know this then, but there was a revolution going on because desktop computing power and desktop software were finally becoming good enough that they could do things that used to be done by giant $100,000 custom machines. So After Effects was a big part of that, a bunch of other software too. And I didn't know that then, but that was like a revolution. I was witnessing this revolution playing out on the internet in tiny video clips. And it was cool to kind of be a part of it somehow.
For sure. Yeah, I like the MK12 reference. I think one of the first things that I saw that got me really interested was watching Stranger Than Fiction and seeing how they incorporated motion graphics with live action.
For 12 years, Harold would brush each of his 32 teeth 76 times.
Yeah, those guys, I think they're the gateway drug for a lot of people because they have a history of doing stuff either earlier or better than other people, and they have good graphic design chops, so they speak a kind of universal language that's pretty approachable. Yeah. Yeah. You know, I haven't really been following them lately. I think, you know, they've been around for a while, and I'm not sure what they're up to, but they will always hold that special place in my heart as the studio that got me into this thing. My first high, as I say. I'm not a drug user or drug addict, but I know that people always talk about chasing the first high. And
Yeah.
that's no different for me. Like, I'm always trying to get back to Ultra Love Ninja.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I should also mention, because I didn't do this before, what Justin and I are drinking today. I have a little cocktail here, which is basically pink lemonade and vodka. And Justin, tell us about your drink.
I'm drinking the amazingly not delicious Zevia. There you go. It is caffeine-free. It is sugar-free, artificial flavoring, coloring-free, and pretty much taste-free. It's not bad. It's just not good. I'm not really sure why I'm drinking it. I'm just drinking like carbonated something.
To have something to drink, basically.
Yeah. It's a prop.
You recently have left SciOp and gone back to working full-time on your own stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that transition. Like, what was the catalyst for that, I guess?
Well, it's a weird thing to work for a hero company, a company that you've kind of idolized for a long time, and then get to a point where you're like, okay, I think my work is done here.
Yeah.
It's very like, amicable thing. I didn't have any, there was no like negative reason that I left, but I felt that after a little over 3 years there, that I'd done kind of what I could do. I built some stuff, helped build some stuff that's still going. I helped them set up SciOp Interactive, which is doing all their interactive work. I helped them create SciOp Games, which is going. It's changed forms, I think, but it's still going.
Yeah.
Started a nonprofit program that went well. So I talked to my business partner, who's this kind of like guy behind the scenes, who he and I together own Motionographer and F5. And I said, what do you think? Do you think I could like coast for a while and do just Motionographer and F5? And we ran some numbers, and he was like, I think so. He's like, it'll be a little tight, because we don't really have like advertising on Motionographer, and F5, the event, is kind of a non-profit mentality event. So we just decided, let's go for it. And so I found an office at the new museum. They have an incubator space that I applied to and got into, and I'm sitting next to like coders and artists and entrepreneurs, and it's really cool. It's only been about 2 months, but it's going pretty well so far. And I don't know how long it'll last. I hope it lasts as long as it can, but I'm enjoying it while it's happening.
Tell me what's going on with the Motionographer and F5 right now.
Yeah, so Motionographer is doing better than ever in terms of traffic. It's funny, now that I'm working on it more or less full-time, traffic has tripled in the last 6 weeks. I've just been writing more and reaching out more. Yeah, so I'm hoping to parlay that into some other ideas I want to try in the future. I'd like to shift it away from being just a blog to more of a community platform where people can share and connect, and maybe have an educational component as well. So that'll happen. I'll start playing with that after F5 in April. But most of my time is spent on F5, the festival. So that's a 2-day festival, April 17th and 18th in New York, that is anchored in motion design and animation and visual effects. But really the 60–70% of the speakers don't actually work in those fields at all, which is kind of the design of the show. It's like we get people to come from the industry of motion design, and then we kind of like clock them with a secret punch to the face with all these other people who don't necessarily know anything about design or animation, but they can provide some kind of insight and hopefully get people to get out of their comfort zone a little bit, think about work differently, think about what they've been spending their time doing, and maybe make some changes. So like we've got some really cool speakers confirmed. Like we've got this guy Brandon Brega, who's the director of Cosmos, the new Cosmos, which I was a big fan of the old Cosmos, which was hosted by Carl Sagan, and the new one's hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's amazing. So Brandon Brega was an EP, an executive producer, and director of many of the episodes of Cosmos, but he also, just as interesting to me, he was also a big-time writer and producer for Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Voyager.
I was excited to see him before, but I love Star Trek, so.
Yeah, me too.
It's really
And
fun.
we also have like Michael Ian Black, who's going to record a podcast live in front of the audience. Michael Ian Black is a comedian from the State, which is what most people know him from, but he's been in a lot of movies. He's been on TV a lot, all over. He's great, and he's going to interview a famous person that we cannot yet disclose, but we will soon.
Basically, if you guys are watching and you want to do something really fun in April, come to New York for Five.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be cool, and I'm excited about it. But it's like all events, you know, it's one of those kind of all-consuming things, and then in 2 days, it's over, and you're like, wow, what did I just spend 6 months of my life doing, you know? So I'm trying to think ahead. I'm trying to, like, think about, you know, beyond F5, and I really want to build a product, and I mean that in the broadest sense of the term. You know, that's something that can change the way that people kind of do their creative work. So we'll see if I can actually do that. I've got a really interesting team of people who are interested in working on it. So I think it could go well. So that's the big plan.
I'm excited to see what that is eventually.
Me too.
Yeah. And then to switch gears a little bit, what are your hopes for either 2015 or the future?
And my hopes are generally mostly hopes for the kind of industry as I see it. I think 2015 is going to be an awesome year for anybody working in filmmaking or design or storytelling, because finally we've reached some kind of tipping point where the long-promised convergence of interactive media and passive media is actually happening now, and it's happening on multiple fronts. It's happening in VR and virtual reality, thanks to Oculus Rift and forthcoming products like Magic Leap and Microsoft's HoloLens. But it's also happening online now. There's platforms online that are finally taking off for video on demand, but also just for creating and sharing video. And the tools to create all this stuff are also becoming easier and more widely distributed. So I feel like 2015 is this inflection point where people who wanted to do stuff but weren't sure how are going to find ways to do it. And people who've been on the outside, who've been wanting to get in, are going to find ways in. And I think that's exciting. It's going to be a mess. It's going to create a lot of problems. There's going to be, but I think generally speaking, it's going to be good, and hopefully we'll create a lot of new opportunities for people. Opportunities for people to make a living in a new way, or just pursue a new passion that they didn't even know they were able to pursue.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps things up then. So, cheers.
Cheers. My lame drink to your nice one.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.